Hi, everybody! Been a while since we've done a podcast. We're going to be discussing some SNK stuff. I can't think of a clever joke to segue into this one, so here's Johnny.
Is my mic working? Can you hear me? I feel like I'm dying here.
What, are you getting over something?
No. Just want to make sure the mic isn't causing problems or turning me into a zombie or anything.
Okay, now I'm imagining a zombie Elvis and I can't get that image out of my head.
Or, I mean, we could just go play Saints Row 2. There's actually an option where you can have your character speak in a zombie voice, which is kind of hilarious.
That is kind of hilarious, and as you know me, I shamble in everywhere.
So if you play Saints Row 2 at some point in the future, make sure to select the zombie voice character for your character. I feel like that would be a suitable fit for you, because there's no goat screaming.
I definitely will, and for those of you who don't know, John McBaughan, my guest for tonight, he has a goat scream on his Twitch channel, and I use that to announce myself every time I go into one of his streams.
It's just, yeah, because I don't have the zombie sound, otherwise he would be using that probably all the time.
I would be abusing both equally.
Pretty much. But there is a reason why we're here today, and Leafer mentioned it earlier in the introduction.
Yes.
We have some SNK stuff to discuss. There may not be a lot, but there is at least some information here that's worth digging into and just giving some predictions on what we're thinking for 2024 for SNK moving forward.
Definitely, and since you're the one who found this particular topic, I'm going to have you introduce the core information.
Okay, so basically this is translated from an interview on Famitsu here. So there were 4 people at SNK that were interviewed. Naoto Abe, Yasuyuki Oda, Nobuyuki Kuroki, and I'm gonna get the last name right here, Kazuhiro Fujishige. Sorry if I butchered those names. My Japanese sucks, so bear with me on that. One day I'll be able to speak it well. Yeah.
Wow, your English also kind of did there too.
Well, I wonder who I'm speaking English with. Your influence is waning on me, sir.
Hey, I can write English pretty well.
Can you speak English very well?
I mean, I'm doing pretty decently on YouTube, so...
For the most part, yep. Now we just need you to do it in an English accent, or a British accent, then we're good.
I am actually working on that as a joke, because one of my friends said that he could get me a job if I could mimic the Queen's English accent.
So we're gonna have a female Leafer. Oh dear, I don't know how to feel about that.
I'm not going that route, but sure.
You said the Queen, so that's why.
Well, it's called Queen's English.
Okay, never mind. But anyway,
I guess it would be called King's English now, since King Charles.
Yes. But anyway, continuing on. So there was an interview done in Famitsu for ambitions for 2024. And there were some interesting tidbits on there that I think we should take a look at. Obviously, one of the big ones is what they announced at EVO 2023. Finally seeing, first footage of it.
Which was Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, and I feel like that game is way further in development than they're letting on.
Mm-hmm. You think it's farther ahead than what they're letting us? They're telling us?
I think that it could be a late spring to early summer release.
Yeah, I did hear something about that, and it wasn't... And I don't know if it was I don't think it was mentioned in this, but it was mentioned in another interview. But they want to show stuff on Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, but we're probably going to be seeing that at EVO Japan 2024, which happens in April. So we're probably going to be seeing some more stuff. At least that's where we're going to get some more big information, I think, for it. But you're thinking earlier.
Watch them do a hi-fi rush. They're like, okay, here's all the characters. Oh, game's available today.
You think they're just gonna do a shadow drop?
Yeah, because think of it this way. What better way to steal Tekken's thunder than to, go, oh hey, the game's out.
Which I think Tekken 8's gonna debut at EVO Japan this year, right? At EVO Japan 2024, I believe, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, if not, it's going to be at EVO for sure, and we're both excited for Tekken 8.
Yes, but we're going to be covering that in a separate podcast, which should be coming out a couple days later.
Mm-hmm. But continuing on with this, so yeah, the biggest thing is just information on Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. We're going to be seeing stuff on that next year. So I'm curious to see what they're going to be doing with it, like in terms of gameplay mechanics and roster. And how are you going to continue a story from, 25 years ago?
Yeah, and even though it was like a trailblazer for its time, it did have a fairly light story, let's be honest.
But it left it on a good cliffhanger, and that's remained unanswered. So
Yep.
I have a feeling.
I do have a wish for it, of course.
Which is
Blue Mary's outfit from Terry's ending.
I feel if Blue Mary makes the cut, which I have a feeling she's going to, it should be that outfit, and make her outfit in King of Fighters, say, a classic outfit or an unlockable.
I definitely agree with that. Also, you remember the trailer that we had back in the summer, right?
Oh, for Fatal Fury, yeah?
Yeah. Blue Mary's voice clip was definitely heard.
It was definitely there, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know we did hear Mai, we did hear Janet, and I believe we heard Hotaru, but you think that was Mary's instead?
I think Mary's was in a different segment of the video because they just went Blitzkrieg style on that one.
We'll have to see.
Also, I've been watching like the videos from around that time that Neo Geo Now did and Maximilian Dude did. And they noted that they heard Yuri's sound clip, one that was used for King of Fighters 15, so
that's the one I'm curious about. Like, if Yuri makes the cut, then how is Yuri gonna fit into the story here? Because I can see Rio making the fit, because he was in Fatal Fury Special.
I have a theory on this. You might think I'm crazy for this, but I think that SNK are finally going to be like, okay, the timelines now line up. Fatal Fury and The Art of Fighting are now both on the same time frame.
Well, I believe they both take place in Southtown, just during different times. But
yes.
There's something I want to talk about with Art of Fighting, but we're going to get to that later.
We're
going to get to that later. But yeah, for Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, I feel like we're probably going to have a finalized roster, or at least close to a finalized roster.
Same here.
Of what they show. But there is one thing I'm kind of begging for.
What's that?
More stages.
Oh, please, yes.
More stages. And also just more customization options, because I liked how at least in King of Fighters 15 you did get at least some outfits for like Kim, Shingo, Sylvie, Terry, and Leona, for example, and even like Team Southtown. I want to see more of like outfits for characters in City of the Wolves.
I definitely want that, for sure. What do you think the final roster size is going to be?
I want to say at least above 20.
I feel like 19 is the absolute smallest we're going to get, and I think 24 is the absolute biggest we're going to get.
And then with DLC, we're probably going to approach 30.
I think 33, 35.
To finish it, depending on how much they do for how long they want to extend Fatal Fury 4, because that's going to tie into something we talk about with King of Fighters, because obviously Season 2 is finished, but are we going to get Season 3, and then our predictions with that. But,
well, they did say that they're going to be changing the game up, so I would say that, yes, Season 3 will be happening, and I kind of think that we might see a new mechanic introduced.
If you were to go crazy with a mechanic, though, for KOF, what do you think it should be? I know I already have one in my head.
I would kind of like something akin to Blowback in the Dead or Alive games. I think that's what it's called. I don't remember, but basically it was like when you get to below a certain health threshold, you could just do a powerful move.
And it does a massive amount of damage?
Yeah.
So that would be, would you say, different from a climax move then?
I would say so, because climaxes are more if you want to style on your opponent for big damage. And they can be used whenever you have the actual meter to do it.
Yeah, so for Blowback, would there would be a meter requirement or just a health requirement?
Just a health requirement. It would be like Rage Arts in Tekken.
Mm-hmm. I could see that. So that's what you would want to see?
Yeah, because I think that would really level the playing field between more mid-tier players and higher ceiling players.
Mm-hmm.
And it would also narrow the gap between newbie scrubs and mid-tier players. I think that it could really level the playing field for everyone.
Well, that could be something if they introduce a mechanic.
I know that comeback mechanics like that are controversial, but I think that they're fine.
The one I'd want to see is something they've done before, but we haven't seen since.
What's that?
I want the tag mechanic from King of Fighters 2003 and King of Fighters 11.
So you would like a striker to be added?
No, not Striker. You're thinking 99 to 2001.
Oh, okay.
In 2003 and 11, the idea was... Think of it like how Marvel vs. Capcom works.
Gotcha.
So it's just like, okay, press these buttons, tag a character in, and then press these buttons, tag another character in. You can even do that, I think, during combos and stuff.
I would like that, but as its own separate mode.
Yeah, as a separate mode for it. Like, still keep traditional 3v3, the traditional 3v3 for KOF, but if they could do that, I think that would shake things up a bit, because there have been players asking for years to bring that back.
It would definitely shake things up, and imagine how much more annoying my team would become if that became a option.
Your team mechanics would have to change dramatically, because then you wouldn't really have to worry about at least too much about a leader, a middle, and an anchor.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that also can tie into another mechanic, but you could also balance it too, because leaders were the only ones that had access to dream cancels.
Okay.
Dream cancels or just like the climax moves, so that's one way you could balance it too. So, because if you gave your teams like those tag mechanics and then everybody still had climax moves,
it would be insanity, but fun insanity.
Fun insanity, but it would be kind of insane. But
well, the thing is, if you look at tag fighters, balance? What balance?
There's a form of balance. I just said A, not completely.
I know, but it's kind of... It's on its own thing.
But we'll have to see what they introduce, at least for that, when it comes for King of Fighters 15, at least if they're going to do a new mechanic. Mm-hmm. But it's also, like, you do a Season 3, who makes the cut for the roster?
I have a feeling you have a couple characters in mind.
There's 3, at least I have for sure.
Alright, let's do it. You pick one, I pick one, and we go back and forth.
Okay. Well, first, what do you think the number's going to be? 5?
I think it's going to be 5.
Probably 5 or 6, yeah. Because how many was there for Season 2? Shingo, Kim, Sylvie, Najd, Hinako. And then Gonitz was free, so 5 plus a free character. So, yeah, we'll say 5.
Yep.
Okay, I'll kick it off. The biggest request right now, Shenwu.
Okay, not a character I'm too familiar with.
He's from the Ash Saga, because... The reason I say Shenwu is because he's from the Tales of Ash Saga, and you already have Ash, you have Elizabeth, you have Dulon. You just need Shenwu, and then that completes that.
That would make sense.
And Shenwu is an interesting character, too.
I'm going to go with Vice, and then you can say why Shenwu's an interesting character.
Mm-hmm. You want to say Vice?
Yep.
But no, Shenwu is more kind of a brawler style. But he also plays interestingly. Like, he's not one I can get down completely with, because I have to figure out how he works. I wasn't that great with him in 11 or 13, but he was fun to use when you can see how his stuff changes. And you give him access to EX moves in this, I think he could be a dominant force. It may be as high as Cronin and Janet when they were at their prime and top tier. Shen could be that high.
That would be really scary, but really interesting.
Why do you want Vice? Or why do you think Vice?
I think because of the fact that we have so many legacy characters, she's very popular, plus the fact it would mean easy access to some of the teams from classic King of Fighters games, so...
So Vice is your pick then for that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Now
mine.
I
Yep.
don't personally really want Vice or Mature, but those are my two picks
You would say
right off
both,
the
yeah.
hop.
Like, I mean, because then you can make the classic Yagami team. Then at that point,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And I
uh,
figured I might as well just mention them now because they're kind of a combo deal.
and I think we know one person who would love to have Mature back.
Shinky,
No,
true.
no,
Who?
Mad.
Oh, yeah.
He likes Mature.
I forgot that.
Yeah, Mature is one of his favorite characters to use. So if Mature were to come back into KOF, that would be interesting.
It definitely would.
The next one for me, you know where I'm probably gonna go with this, but I want Kasumi
I know you do. And you know where I will go with my
with
next
your
pick.
pick.
Yeah, May.
Yep. I know they're both highly requested characters. They're up
I
there.
think it's super interesting that they're super highly requested, yet SNK is just like, we don't remember these people. Who are they?
Yeah, it's like Kasumi, the last time we saw her was King of Fighters 11, and she's more kind of confined to Art of Fighting, if anything, and Melee we've only seen in, like, officially 2001 and 2002.
I think that Melee would really work well mechanically with 15, though.
She can work well with 15, I would say. And it would be a mix-up.
Also, she would really be interesting because we don't really have any stance characters in 15.
Yeah, not in 15, and I don't think there's too many in general.
No, whereas SNK used to have a lot of stance characters.
So, I mean, this could also be like making a case of like, okay, if we bring Mei Li back, what are her chances of making it into 16, for instance, or another dream match?
I think 16 is going to be a dream match, to be honest.
You think so?
Or it'll be a new take on dream matches.
That would be interesting to see.
I actually thought of how they could do dream matches, kind of. So what they could do is they could have, like, the main tournament, the storyline part of it, and then have season 1 and 2 be the dream match aspect of it, and have it be that it takes place in a different dimension, because, let's face it, SNK could easily do that with some of the crazy shit they've been pulling since 14.
You mean with Verse just basically bringing everybody back to life?
Yep.
Possibly.
Also, it's not like alternate dimensions would be a new thing for fighting games in general. A few have done it.
Yes, and for some, it's just like, okay, it's kind of funny, but it's also like, what the hell are you doing?
Exactly, and I feel like that could be the perfect way to do dream matches. And they could then use that as a way to test characters who haven't come back for a very long time. And then they could use their popularity in the dream match side of things to decide if they make it to the base roster of future games.
Yeah, as long as it makes sense for story purposes too, right?
Exactly.
But we need to pick one more character. And I know there's one I want, but I'm going to go a different route.
Okay.
I want a new character.
I also want a new character, and I think that they could easily do something really interesting with this. Here's my idea.
Yeah?
They give us a preview of the new hero for the next arc as the final DLC character for Season 3.
So do what Capcom did with Luke.
Yes.
That could be something. Because we know we're not going to get KOF 16 for a couple years.
I feel like SNK could really do interesting things with that, because they could literally be like, here's just an idea. They have the character at home watching the tournament unfold, and because they're a single entrance, they could be like a last minute sign up, but they don't make any mainline matches because they signed up so late. Like, that could be their introduction
for this character.
Yeah.
Okay, I could see that working.
And then that would leave them open to either make more new characters for their actual proper debut game, or they could use it as a way that they meet up with some of the legacy characters, and then they can make a new franchise or a new team from there.
Yeah, because they're obviously going to be a new team. It's going to be a new hero team for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For it, but it's just a matter of like, okay, how far are they going to go with it? But if it's do the idea like Capcom did with Luke, give a sample of like, okay, here's our character, here's what you could expect, or a sample of what's to come for the next King of Fighters.
Exactly.
So with that, who should the boss character be?
I think probably Clone Ash or whatever the fuck their name is. Can't remember it. You know, the big bad of the Ash saga.
Psyche?
Yes.
You think Psyche should be it? If Psyche makes it, I would be very, very happy with that. I think that would be an interesting one. I have a feeling I would probably say Chrysalid or Ignis.
Those
from
would definitely
Nests.
be very interesting.
Because, I mean, have you tried the boss rush mode?
I haven't yet. I will be getting to it.
Have fun when you get to Gonit.
Am I going to be turning into the fucking goat from your streams?
More like an angry demon goat. Because, like, he's tough. And I feel like Ignis would be as much as I would say Chrysalid is a fan favorite for that one, I think Ignis would be the perfect fit for that. If you need proof, go look up his boss battle from King of Fighters 2001. You'll understand.
I will. Also, I think in the very near future I will have King of Fighters 13 so we can, throw down in that.
Yeah, no, I still have to get my hands on 13 too, so when we do that, we have to try at least a couple matches with that.
Also, I picked up SNK Heroines.
Mm-hmm. And I've heard you've been enjoying it.
It is so fun.
Yeah.
It's one of those fighting games where even if you're performing like ass, you really don't care.
Yeah, because it's not meant to take itself seriously.
No, it's got some unique things. I actually really like the idea of power-ups which are available in that game.
That's definitely one, yeah, because what I've seen of that game, it looks interesting, and just kind of like a fun, silly take.
It is. Honestly, I'm surprised it didn't do better than it did. Because that's the kind of fighting game that the FGC has been calling for, is like a fun, stupid fighter that you don't really care if you're doing, like, crap.
Mm-hmm. But then I guess it got compared to something like the idea of Rumble Roses.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, like, there were still other things that happened, like, going back on track for a second here, of, like, with those Famitsu interviews, there's one thing that I wanted to talk about specifically as well, that was mentioned, because we talked about Art of Fighting, right?
Yep.
So, SNK did move offices, so they now have their new office, which is located in Shin, Osaka.
Mm-hmm.
So, not only are they working on Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, they have multiple projects in development, and one of them is, if the translation is correct, Fist of the Dragon and the Tiger.
Not heard of that one before.
That's a new thing, but here's the interesting thing with that. I think this is our new Art of Fighting game.
Okay, explain.
Do you remember the trailer for Rio and Robert in King of Fighters 15?
Not super well, no.
Okay. They had titles. Rio is the Invincible Dragon. Robert is the Raging Tiger.
Right. I do remember Robert's title. I didn't remember Rio's.
Yeah. So, Fist of the Dragon and the Tiger, the Fists of Rio and Robert.
That could almost be a Art of Fighting Fist of the North Star crossover.
That's the thing. So, we know that they're working on this, because it's being developed at the same time as Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. But I know Oda-san mentioned that they were to bring back Art of Fighting. It would be a little bit difficult, I think, to bring it back. Like, how would you make it modern?
I don't know.
I have an idea, though. I don't think it should be a fighting game.
I agree with you on that. That's kind of what I was implying by I don't know. Plus, SNK have so many fighting games now at this point in time that they can just
So,
pull from.
I mentioned this on a tweet somewhere for what I think this game should be. I think this should be a brawler.
I agree, or I think it should be a beat 'em up 2D style.
Yeah, a brawler or a beat 'em up. Make it a 3D beat 'em up.
So a brawler then.
Yeah, something. Make it something like Yakuza.
Honestly, that would be super fun. And if they can get the team from Sega to help with development on that, I think they could really make something interesting there.
Yeah,
Especially if they're like, oh, hey, here's a couple people from the Yakuza games as guest characters.
yeah. Like put in Kiryu, put in Majima.
Yep.
That would be kind of interesting to see. But yeah,
It would be.
I have a feeling that the Fist of the Dragon and the Tiger is going to be a brawler. I really hope it is. I think that would be awesome.
I think so too. And a very story-focused brawler at that would probably be the best option.
Mm-hmm. Only things would be is if they do that, I would just hope for co-op play.
Of course, online co-op play as well.
Yeah, both local co-op play and online co-op play, and just standard things like give a good netcode, make sure it's crossplay.
Yep.
Because I think that would be something cool to see, and it would also be something for SNK to branch out from just fighting games, because we know that they're wanting to do more.
Mm-hmm.
Because these aren't the only things that they have in development.
They have stated that they have a couple of AAA titles that are being worked on at their newly established Tokyo studio.
Yeah. So, and I don't think Fist of the Dragon and the Tiger is there. I think this is the one at Shin Osaka.
Mm-hmm.
But
So the older studio.
Yeah, the older studio. It just moved new places. But I have a feeling there's something that was mentioned about that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I think it's something about a grand adventure or something.
I have a theory on that one.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Psycho Soldiers.
You're thinking it's a Psycho Soldiers game?
Yeah.
What makes you say
And
that?
because let's think about the characters that are the most marketable from SNK's backlog.
Terry,
Yes.
Rio,
but
Athena.
there you go. Athena is who I was thinking. Think how marketable she is in general.
Mm-hmm. Well, look at how they constantly change her for every KOF installment.
Exactly. And that's kind of the appeal of her for King of Fighters, is the fact is, what's she gonna look like going forward?
What are they gonna do? Like, if you were to design Psycho Soldiers, what do you think it should be?
I'm thinking that it should be a hack and slash or shoot 'em up focused platformer. So think Ratchet and Clank, think Hi-Fi Rush.
That could be interesting to see. Would you want it to work kind of like how Hi-Fi Rush, where it goes in tune with the beat?
Yeah. I
So-
think that would work perfectly for Athena since she's a pop idol.
Then there's one thing that game needs to nail, which could be very
What-
hard to do.
What's that?
Score.
Definitely.
Yeah, because
Also,
if you
here's
don't have a
what I
good
was
score,
kind
that's a big problem.
Also, I was kind of thinking bullets per minute.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that game?
Yes, I have. I actually haven't had a chance to play it yet, though.
I don't have it, but I really want to play it at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, that got me thinking, okay, what does Athena do in the King of Fighters? She basically likes to be at the edges of the screen spamming Psycho Ball and Psycho Shooter. So, okay, how does that work in other games? And I was thinking, okay, there's kind of a Ratchet and Clank element here. They could easily go for a shooting-focused platformer because the Psycho Soldier games and Athena herself come from the platforming genre.
So there is a match there, you could say, yeah.
Yes, and the fact that I got to thinking, okay, Hi-Fi Rush implements the beat aspect. What's another way that they could incorporate that? Because let's face it, Athena would probably be shooting things with her Psycho Balls and Psycho Shooter in a platforming section. So that would basically be like, okay, this kind of worked a little bit in the first-person shooter, beats per minute. Or bullets per minute, sorry.
Side note, I really hope there will be a physical copy of Hi-Fi Rush that comes out, because that game needs to be preserved.
I agree it does.
It needs to. Anyway, continue.
No, that was just it. That was all I wanted to say, really. I think that Hi-Fi Rush should kind of be used as the template for a Psycho Soldiers game going forward.
That would be interesting to see. There is one I have in mind. It might be something maybe not as ambitious, but it would be something I want to see. I want an RPG.
Didn't they say they have an RPG in the works?
They were contemplating that. And they're probably prototyping things. But we don't know the setting or anything, though, for it. I think a Samurai Showdown RPG would be perfect.
I wouldn't be surprised if they've got one in the works and they're just not ready to show it off yet.
Because, fun fact with that, there was a fan translation finally released, I think a month or two ago, for the Samurai Showdown RPG that came out like years and years ago on the Neo Geo CD. So, with interest in that, and I feel like Samurai Showdown has something of a rich history that could be expanded upon with that.
It definitely could. The only problem I have with a potential Samurai Showdown RPG is how similar is it going to be to Ghost of Tsushima and Rise of the Ronin?
Yeah, because of that competition with Rise of the Ronin out, I believe, in March.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Would you consider Ghost an RPG?
It has RPG elements.
Yeah, it has RPG elements, yeah. Whereas if they're going to go full action RPG, that would be a little bit different.
It would be, but it would still get compared to Ghost of Tsushima extensively, I think, no matter what.
Just because of the theme and the setting and stuff of what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I think that they might need to hold back on it, even if it's close to being ready. Just because, even though it's been almost 4 years since Ghost of Tsushima, I think that it's still too fresh in the public consciousness to not greatly impact other samurai games.
Yeah, like, I mean, if anything, the ideal solution would be it comes out and it just rides that wave that Tsushima and Rise of the Ronin will be on.
Yes, also, another thing is, when I first saw Rise of the Ronin, I actually thought it was going to be a Ghost of Tsushima game.
Well, that means Team Ninja's doing their job right. Or they're doing their job well.
I know, I'm pointing out, like, when I first saw it, I was like, okay, this looks like a grittier take on Ghost of Tsushima, and then I was like, wait, this has PlayStation associated with it? Is this a new Ghost of Tsushima game? Is this a new DLC thing? Like, that's what I initially thought, and then I was like, oh, this is a bit different. Okay.
The only thing with Ronin would be is just like, are they going to make it as difficult as Neo or Wolong?
I don't think so.
You think this will be easier?
From what I've seen of the gameplay, it does seem easier.
We'll have to see. I hope there's going to be a demo for it, though, for Ronin.
I feel like they need to make demos a thing again, honestly.
For some, they have. Like, I mean, we've seen things with fighting games, and even what SNK's done with KOF 15 or even KOF 13, and Samurai Showdown with, like, network tests and stuff, or betas.
Oh, definitely. Like, no, I'm just
they're still not the replacements, but they should be a thing again, right?
Exactly, because the thing is, the demo discs, they were a huge part of my childhood because they actually informed my decision as a consumer, because as a kid and as a teenager, didn't really have the money to buy games, per se. So basically it was Blockbuster, demo discs, and sales. That's how I found games. Pretty much.
Yeah, because before we didn't really have the internet that much to look up information.
No. And let's face it, we got burned a lot as kids and teenagers, really, if you think about it, because...
Yeah, because that's how the demos also work, too. It's just like, you could play something, and then you play it, and then it's terrible. But then you also find something you don't know about, and then it turns out to be awesome.
Exactly. And you know what? I'm surprised someone hasn't thought in one of these big companies, oh, hey, let's get a demo disc that you can mail away for or something. You know, online, obviously. Like, do that and then be like, you get a demo disc of upcoming games from that company. They could then have vertical slices of various different games they've got in the works, and people could then get hyped over that. And also it would be a collectible thing as well, if you think about it.
Yeah, because like I know there are people that collected demo discs. I actually still have personally some official Xbox Magazine ones and some PC Gamer ones too.
We probably both sound like boomers right now.
We do, but here's the thing I would say with demo discs. Like, demo discs I still think have had their time and place, and I do feel like they should make a comeback of sorts. Just, again, for preservation purposes. But most are just doing the online demos now with it, which is like, it's cool that we're still getting them.
Yep.
But it's just, there's kind of a novelty with just, again, having something tangible.
Exactly. Also, like I said, they could do this to shadow announce games that they don't think are quite worthy enough to be announced at like a big showcase of some type.
Mm-hmm.
And they could also use it as a way to get some of their younger developers more experience, because they could be like, you know what? Make a little vertical slice. If it does well in terms of reception, we'll greenlight it.
As an idea, yeah, because that's the only one other thing, is just diverging resources from your development into making these demos, because they do cost quite a bit of money and they do take away time from development too.
Exactly.
There's kind of a counter to it, though. This isn't like the 90s, sadly.
No, but I do see that changing, because here's the thing. PS5, Xbox Series consoles, they use x86 just like the PS4 and most PCs these days. That is going to reduce costs down the line, because developers now aren't going to have to code specifically for just custom architecture that's going to be dead in 7 years.
Technically, yes. It's just a matter of keeping the support for it, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, x86 is not going anywhere. It's the standard for PCs.
x86, x64. I think like 64 is the next step, because that's pretty much what most PCs are running now. I think that's going to be the next step for consoles.
Probably. But either way, x86 is like the standard, and I've been reading tech articles on it, and it's going to remain pretty much the standard for PCs going forward, plus the one that you mentioned. I do know that it's supposed to be completely backwards compatible with x86. So.
It is pretty much for the most part, yeah. There's maybe some small like discrepancies or just like compatibility issues, but for the most part, anything you run on x64 will run x86.
Okay, good to know. But basically, I just see the fact that consoles are going to be closer and closer to PCs going forward as a good thing, and I think that's going to really greatly reduce the cost of game development going forward, because obviously it's the standardized computer language at this point.
So let's see what they do with that. But in terms of like for these games that SNK do have coming out, I still want to see stuff like demos or even beta tests, like, because you got to make sure the online works and you got to make sure your crossplay works and everything. Plus also just give a sample of what's to come, and I feel like that's very important.
Me too.
But
is there anything else SNK related you kind of wanted to discuss?
Those are pretty much the big ones. So yeah, like we said, Fatal Fury, we're going to be seeing more news of it next year. They're probably going to have a lot of it to show. The theory, at least I'm going to go with, is that EVO Japan is when we're going to get probably a pretty big information dump of what City of the Wolves is.
How funny would it be if City of the Wolves launches on... How funny would it be if City of the Wolves launches on July 18th?
On July 18th? Oh, that would be funny, but that would also be like, that's kind of soon.
Well, you did say that July was one of the dates you could see it happening.
Yeah. It's soon because, like, if it drops in July, that'll be just before EVO, but I don't know if it would make it for EVO.
It
like Evo
might.
24. Because that would be too soon, because Evo's happening at the end of July.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you release a game a week before. You could maybe do it, but I see the chances kind of being slim.
I see it as slim as well, but I think it would be really interesting. It would release on a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And think about it this way.
Yeah?
You would be seeing the pro players actually making mistakes for once.
That would be interesting to see. Just like everyone who's new to it just kind of learn, right?
Yeah, and that was kind of the fun of that final Tekken 8 character announcement, because they had that mini tournament going on beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
And people were learning the mechanics entirely, and they were trying to do stuff that worked in Tekken 7, and they would be whiffing on it because it just doesn't work that way anymore.
Which I kind of like that that's the case.
Me too.
That's kind of the case, because I would say if they did something like that as a showcase for Fatal Fury, bring in the top KOF players and just say, here, play this.
Maybe we will get a showcase at EVO Japan, or even at EVO itself.
For that, yeah. For sure, I think I want to say for sure, City of the Wolves is coming out next year. I want to say that for sure.
I think that's a definite. I think that the latest we'll see it is September.
September is probably when I'm thinking too. Although if they want to push it, it would be November, but that would be really cutting it close.
And I think that would be a bad decision for them to do, because I think that would mean that people would be buying the bigger budget games and it would just kind of go ignored.
That is true, unless it got like a big push, or if it were to be published by a bigger publisher. Like, I don't want this to happen. What if Fatal Fury got published by EA?
Oh god,
they would monetize the shit out of it, wouldn't they?
They would.
But the thing is, you also have EA's marketing budget.
Mm-hmm.
So you have one advantage there, but you have a disadvantage on the other end.
Or it would be kind of cool if Sony stepped in and kind of published it, because they did pay for exclusive rights for Street Fighter V, as bad as that game was.
And KOF 14.
I thought KOF 14 was on all consoles.
Nope, 14 was PlayStation exclusive and PC.
Interesting.
15 made its return onto the Xbox.
Well, maybe they could do that, but with City of the Wolves, and you're like, hey, we have a big budget fighting game.
Here we go, right? But yeah,
because this is just an aside, and we can maybe discuss it in the other podcast a little bit. But I think that Xbox is going to do something huge with Killer Instinct in the near future.
Yeah, I think that they need something. They do need something, for sure. But yeah, we're going to see at least more stuff on Fatal Fury this year. And I'm predicting it's going to come out. No, we're going to see more stuff in Fatal Fury in 2024, and it's going to come out in 2024. KOF 15 is going to get its Season 3. Who knows? Maybe they might even announce information on this in January.
I wouldn't be surprised. I get the feeling that they're going to have some kind of announcement, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do it either via the next PlayStation State of Play or the next Microsoft thing.
That or SNK could hold their own mini showcase.
Exactly.
Because that's what they did to announce KOF 15.
Again, I wouldn't be surprised if they wound up doing that. So is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up this particular episode, John?
Nope, I think that'll be it for now. But look forward to our next little podcast soon, because hopefully by the time you're hearing this, it might be out. But
this one is going to come out. This one is going to come out first, and then games we're looking forward to next year. That's going to come out a couple of days later.
Yeah, so look forward to the next podcast. But thanks for having me on this.
Yeah, no problem. And where can people find you? Because obviously I want you promoting your stuff.
If you want to find me, I do have a Twitter. I also have I also stream on Twitch whenever I can, and I have a YouTube. They're all at John McBon. Hopefully we can get those linked into the description box below, but
they will be. They will be.
Thank you for that.
No problem. So, that was the podcast where we were discussing kind of things that are going to be happening with SNK in 2024. If you want to see 2 of my previous podcasts with John, those will be popping up on screen now. And until next time, keep blazing that trail.